Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to my channel, and today in this video we will continue from we had left off in our previous video. So in this video what we will do is improve on the ability to respond to the webhooks coming from Chatwoot. We will try to reply to any message that is coming from a user, and then we will see how using an ML model, we are able to detect the intent, and based on the intent, we are able to change the reply to the end user. Now, in this entire solution, I would like to thank Sanket because he had helped me with quite a few part of the R&D on Chatwoot, as well as helped me develop the model for detecting the intent. So without wasting much time, let's get started. To quickly recap, in our Chatwoot interface, what we have done is configured this webhook. So what happens is whenever there is any new chat conversation happening and any message is coming, right? Let me see which all events. Yes, message created event is then being sent as a webhook data to this URL. And on that particular URL, if I show you, right, this is my ngrocks application. What it is doing is running my Laravel application on port 8000. I'm running my Laravel application on port 8000 and using ngrok. What I'm able to do is create a tunnel, so any request coming to this particular domain is automatically being forwarded to my local machine, right? So that's how we are able to intercept the webhook. And this particular window is a simple HTML file where we have our chat widget. Okay, this is the overall setup. And in terms of the code base, I have a basic Docker compose and env file, which is helping me run the entire Chatwoot system. I'll show you the Docker dashboard as well. Okay, so these are my containers. As you can see, it is running on all these services, and this is the last piece of code that we have written in our last video, which is intercept the webhook and go through all the messages. Now, with this in place, I'll also open up the ngrocks admin interface because we will like to see the data which is coming and make some decisions about what we would want to do. So let me add a message. Hello, try this. And I got this webhook. Now, certain important aspects that we need to take care of. You can see right at the bottom, there is something called as event message created. Now, I'll just quickly show you. In here, you can see there are multiple event types. And if you are interested in multiple and you want to take different kind of action for different events, then you should basically hook into this particular value and based on that distribute your code. Now, I will also show you the Chatwoot documentation on how we can respond to a chat message that has come up. So let's go to the Chatwoot website, and in here, in the help center, we have the API reference. And in the API reference, we have something called as messages. So we have conversations. Conversations are, you can say, when a chat starts, right? This is one conversation, and hence you will see those conversations are available over here. And messages are just individual, message that is being relayed between the support and the user, right? So to create a message which is almost like replying to an existing message, right, we have this API. Now Chatwoot's authorization, what it does is we have two ways to authorize our request. One is using user API key and the other one is agent bot key. Now it says that this token can be used to build bot integrations and can only access limited APIs. But right now what I would want to do is make the user feel as if it's a normal user who is replying. So we will create an API access token. So let's get started. And for the access token, what we will need to do is you go to settings, sorry, not settings, profile, and then profile settings. In here, I have access token. Okay. So this is the access token that we have. I will copy this, and we would ideally want this to be inside our Laravel application. Typically, you should have these inside your env files. So what I will do is first put this as Chatwoot API access token. Okay, this is the value that we have. And obviously, we should never use the env values directly. It should come through an config variable. So what I will additionally do is we have config slash services.php. So in here, I'll have Chatwoot, and then I will have, oops, sorry, what we have, Chatwoot API access token. So Chatwoot, I can do directly API access token. Okay, so that will be env. Let me copy this value, else I'll keep an empty string. So we use configurations because the config object is kind of being generated when the framework is running in production mode, and these config variables are readily available through a process where it is automatically being generated, right? However, if you are, and so what happens is it is almost like coming through memory and stuff, whereas if you do env values directly, it is almost like you are doing a file read, which is not the most optimum way to do it. That's the rationale behind putting all these inside the config. Okay, now we have this. I'll keep my service file open for later on. So we want to reply, right? And what in this documentation I can see is that I have my user API key, and this is the URL where I need to send a post request. So why don't we first try manually doing it? So I use my Thunder client, HTTP localhost 3000, something like this. It's a post request. Content type will be application JSON. Authorization, it says the access token should be sent header, sorry, like this. So why don't I take it from the env? Okay, this is the value. Put it over here. If I send right now, it does say it's a 404 because we need other variables as well. For example, if I go to the ngrocks admin, we need the conversation ID and the company ID. So company ID is this. Okay, so what I will do is account, sorry, not company ID, account. Okay, account ID is 1, and conversation ID is something which you will find if we go into the messages thing. Inside each message we get the conversation ID, which is 1. Okay, so again I'll put it as 1, and now there's an empty message. Now that is a bit weird because I saw that the content is required. So I'll do one thing. I'll come over here, do content, hello there, welcome. Okay, and if I send this back, I can see this message is coming over here. So which means we are able to respond to a chat response coming from the website, right? So this is good progress. We are now able to send messages to the chat widget directly from our Laravel application. So now why don't we make certain changes? So for example, What I would like to do is only tackle the incoming messages and not the outgoing. Okay. And then initially, let's just say we are only interested in a message which has specific words inside it, very specific, whitelisted words that we will be, interested. So let's see how we can do that. So I will first of all return if my message is not of type incoming. So that basically means there is message type, right? So data message type not equals incoming. Just still copy that instead of typing it. I put this if condition, then return true. Okay, we don't want to fail it, but yeah, we don't want to do anything if it is not of type incoming. Okay, now we need to see whether the message content that is being logged, right? I'll show you the log file as well. Just hold on a second. Yeah. So we will need to see if this message, right, if it has something to do with order, then maybe we will not like to respond to it. So what we will do is we will create a function right now in here called check if need to respond. Okay. And we'll pass a string to it. And the idea is that we check whether this string exists in any of our array of sentences, very basic check. And then if it is there, we just respond to it. Okay. All right. So I have a simple code where I have an array of 3 words and I am doing a for each loop. And it's a very basic thing, not something which you will ideally do in production, but I want to just make you understand what we can do, right? Okay, so we are checking if this string is in any of the words that we are interested in or not. If it is that, if it is the case, then we return true, otherwise we do false, right? And so what happens is basically, now if this is true, right, which in our case the string will be this, let's just say we will call a function which is able to send a message to the widget, which is almost like making this post request, right? So we will do function send reply to user, and we will do reply. Okay. We might also need the message because we need the account and we need the conversation ID, right? So we will do message as well. So let's see. We can hard code the account to 1 for now. Okay. And let's look at the URL which we have. So $URL equals this, and this becomes my account, and conversations ID is $message. Let's see what is the key for the conversation ID. It is inside messages conversation ID. So I do that, and now I have my URL formed properly. So now we can use the HTTP client of Laravel. So HTTP with headers, or is it headers? With headers. Okay. And with headers post, we will need the URL and data, and then we will do JSON. Okay. So with that, inside my header, I will have what? This is my content type. Just I'm making sure that this is in place. And then I have my API access token. Now this is obviously something which I'll get from config services. Okay, it doesn't make the autocomplete. I know inside the PHP Storm I do get these hints, so I was thinking if it could detect that. I think there's a plugin which does that. I'm not very sure. Okay, so now the headers are being passed, and I think I'll need the message which is over here. So content. Okay, I'm doing I made that mistake twice. It's a reply from rather than form. Okay, so I have this JSON response. Okay, and this is a request. I don't think I even need to do anything. I don't need the response as well. We just need to make a API call. Obviously, I'm not doing all the try catch and stuff because this is way too much extreme programming. Right now we are just looking at what are the different possibilities. This is really not like a foolproof code, because the services can fail, so there are fail safes required. But right now just get an understanding what we can do. So what we are saying is, if the message type is not incoming, we don't do anything. If it is incoming, we look at all the messages, and if it needs to respond, then what I do is, okay, yeah, my bad. So it will be in here, it will be reply, and the reply should ideally come from the function where it is being called, so that then I can later on make it a bit dynamic, based on certain parameters. So now if I look at it, normal text, no reply. But then let's look at the words that we are interested in. There is a word called order. So where is my order? So it does check this. Now again, this is very basic. Don't think this is any smarts. This is just checking the string, but you get the point, right? We can have conditional stuff. So even I can do something like, what's my order status, and it should reply. But if I say I am hungry, okay, so there's no reply as such. So this is how we can reply to a chat conversation from the Laravel API. And then to add some smart, a little bit of ML into this entire solutioning, what we can do is create an intent detection model. And that intent detection model, that would allow us to detect what the user is trying to do. Okay, and to do that, I'll first show you the code, what we are trying to do. So we have a few intents that we said are typically required in an e-commerce kind of an application. So these are some of the intents, and then we created this CSV where we have a lot of intents mapped. Okay, so we have like, how do I place an order is of type placing order. Then these are some about 48 50 sentences which can basically mean they are related to order. Then we have product search, order tracking, right, return and refunds, stuff like that. And also I have a few of my own added over here. For example, do you have cash on delivery is part of placing order. Do you have COD? I can pay through cash on delivery. So these are certain things you can train your model accordingly. And then what are we basically doing? Let's just understand. So this data set is being used by this Python file. So this is my file from the intent detector. where first of all we are taking the CSV file, we are splitting the data to the message and the intent. We are using a 20% for test, 80% for training. Okay, we train that data, then we kind of do TF-ID vectorization to transform that data, and then we use this SVC model to train our model. Okay, and then we do some predictions and calculation of the accuracy scores and stuff like that. But in the end, what we are doing is we are dumping the two job-lib files. One is the intent detection model and the vectorizer. Okay, so with these two things, the next thing that I will need to do is create an API which is able to use these job-lib files, and it should get the message coming from the user, and if it finds an intent, it will kind of respond with what intent the user is looking at, what is the message intent. Okay, that let it put it that way. So now there are certain libraries which we need to install. First I will over here maybe all the terminals are full. That's a bit weird. I'll need one more inside intent detection. What I will do is first I will create python-m. I'll create this intent and then source intent env bin activate. So my intent, the virtual environment is now set. And then I need to install a few libraries. So what are they? Pip install, yes, pandas, joblib, scikit-learn. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Most of them are in my cache, so should be pretty quick. Yep. And I'll just show you that what I will do is first of all do train.py. I'll run that, and this data is getting trained. Okay, these are certain things that we have printed. We can see that the accuracy is about 0.77, and these are the different classification types that we have. So this is my this is my app.py where I have a Flask API. I think my Flask, is there a problem in it running? So let's see, Python app.py should run. Okay, it doesn't have Flask, so pip install Flask, and if I now run this, it's running on port 5000. So we have one more service which is running. Let's quickly see if we can make a request to it. Okay, so I'll create one more request, new request from the Thunder client. Oops, this is not what I intended to do. HTTP. I'll show you the code also, just so that you understand. I'm just trying to first right, actually let me first show you the code. So what is happening is we first got the Flask instance, and we have loaded our two joblib files. Then we created a route called predict. Okay, and this predict is where we will make our post call. Sorry, it takes messages as a request object, and then it basically passes it to the predictions function, and it is able to give me the detected intents. Okay, now although it is an array, I will only send one, and I'll get a response which is just one intent sent from this API. Okay, so how do we do that? We come over here, body messages. Where is my order? It says order tracking. Lost my password, maybe. Right, it does that as well. So it also takes multiple. So where is my order will give me the order tracking. But as I said, from the Laravel application, we will only send one message. So this API is working. So how we can use that is the question, right? So what I will do is maybe over here check if need to respond, right? In here we will make an API call. So response equals HTTP. Again, I'll make a post call to a URL. I can right now hard code this and messages dollar string, okay, because it takes an array, and this will take the JSON. And if you see, this request has prediction as a key, and there are multiple. So what I will do is return response predictions 0, because it is responding with an array of stuff. And I'll just comment this out, although it is the return is here, I'll just comment it out for a clear understanding. Okay, and now we just need to check whether the intent is coming properly over here or not. Okay, so what I will do is, this is the thing, right? I will write logger something like this, and then we don't do anything else. Okay, let's see. How about, where is my order? So this should give me the order tracking, and I lost my password, should give me lost password account recovery. So what we can now do is, maybe we put a switch case, intent equals this. Okay, we get our intent, and if the intent is of type, let's say this, what we can do is $reply is what is your order ID, and then send reply. Why is it right? My bad. Default we don't do anything, and send, the S is missing. Now case switch, sorry, what am I doing? Right, so if it is order tracking, then we use this message. If it is something like this, you can reach out to our support on 98200 as simple as that. So basically what I am saying is, right now, if I do random words, right, previously it was just checking for a string. So how to reset, let me see if the model is able to catch that. So how to reset password. All right, so it understood the intent and said that okay, you can reach out to a support. Where is my, and it says what's your order ID. So what can happen is, if there's a conversation where we detected that it is trying to understand the order status, then we ask this question, and based on that we are able to support the user with understanding where the order is, what's the status, get those details. Maybe you can even have a intent for rescheduling the delivery and stuff like that. So yeah, this is how you can use the webhooks and ML solutions to kind of do different things right through your chat. Now, again, as I said, I'm also still learning ML, and this was really not an intent. There was no intent to teach you how we can, go deep into giving different kinds of ML solutions. But what I wanted to show you is that using the Chatwoot solution, you will be able to address these kind of problems, right? So there will be separate videos where I will try to get a model which is much more advanced, and it is able to respond to in a way as if it's a conversation rather than few hard-coded messages. But you get the gist, right? That if you train a model with specific FAQs or customer responses, it will be able to detect what the customer is trying to say. So that's about it, guys. That's what I wanted to cover in this series of 2 videos where we saw the entire thing, right from installing Chatwoot to understanding how Chatwoot works, basic some of its features, how to have inboxes. You can do integrations. We saw how the webhook works. We even saw some basic responses which we can do through the webhooks, and then we were able to reply to messages, and then finally a small model which can detect the intent of a user's message and able to respond based on that. So if you like this video, then do click on the thumbs up icon and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.